The protagonist, Gyeol, has a dream one night where a man apologizes to her as she cries. Then he softly says, "It's fine. Let's get married." Through her tears, she asks, "Is it really that easy for you to change your mind?" He hugs her tightly and replies, "You're difficult for me. I feel guilty that someone like you likes someone like me." As he speaks, she pulls an Olympic medal from her pocket. At that moment, Gio wakes up. It was the month of April. She sat on a bus, thinking about how she should be practicing right now, but instead, she was stuck with a cast on her leg. It was all Seo's fault, her little brother, who had tried to jump off the balcony after their dad scolded him for drinking when he was still in high school. She had tried to stop him, but ended up falling with him instead. Her parents worked hard to provide for them. Her little brother was a rebel, and she had been practicing taekwondo to make it to the Olympics and bring pride to her family. But now everything had come crashing down. Sitting there, she thought to herself, "I saved my brother's life, but I lost a year or more, when I'm supposed to be the eldest daughter who supports the family." Just then, a boy from her school stepped onto the bus. He looked like an athlete. As he moved to sit in the seat ahead of her, he muttered a quiet hello. This confused her. She had never seen him before. She took notice of his broad shoulders and the many ear piercings he had. He smelled like soap, and for some reason, that thought made her want to laugh. After all, she was probably the only one who could smell it. She tried hard to stifle her laughter, but suddenly, the boy turned his head slightly. Gio froze. Did he hear me sniffing? Then, in a hushed voice, the boy whispered, "Pervert," and smirked. He totally heard it. Gio's face burned with embarrassment. She considered explaining herself, but immediately thought that would be even weirder. The whole situation drove her nuts. Ever since he stepped onto the bus, she hadn't been able to stop thinking about him. Blushing, she wondered, what is his deal? Later, she ran into the sports team, something she had wanted to avoid. Watching them practice, she couldn't help but express her envy toward those who could still train. There, she met her friend Giseong, who asked about her leg's condition, but even while talking to him, her mind kept drifting back to the boy from the bus. Suddenly, a girl named Unsu approached and bluntly told Gio not to bother coming to practice since she wouldn't be able to participate in the nationals anyway. Jiseong shot back, telling Unsu to watch her mouth, but Unsu merely smirked and said, "Gio was the one who always lectured everyone about how taking care of your body is part of your skill too." Gio didn't back down. "I could still beat you even with a cast," she said. Then she added, "I know you watch my training videos to learn from me." Unsu's face turned red with embarrassment, and she stormed off. Afterward, Gisong also left, and from the way he acted, it seemed like he had feelings for Gio. In the classroom, when the teacher asked about Gio's absence, Gisong tried to cover for her, saying she might be sick. But Unsu immediately interjected, saying Gio looked completely fine. Annoyed, Gisong asked her, "What's your deal?" Unsu sighed. "It's not that I hate Gio, it's just, I think she's a genius. What I do hate is a genius acting all pitiful." At that moment, Gio was climbing the stairs to the rooftop, lost in thought. She knew that while she was limping, people like Unsu would get ahead of her. And as much as she hated to admit it, there was some truth in what Unsu had said. When she reached the rooftop, a voice called out, "You can't just come up here whenever you want." She turned to see the same boy from the bus. "And how come you're here then?" she shot back. He just laughed and set his coat down for her to sit on. Gio hesitated before asking, "Do you know me? You said hello on the bus." The boy smirked. "Did I really say that?" Then, without waiting for an answer, he introduced himself. "Gyeol Cha." With a teasing smile, he added, "Looked like you were dying to know my name." "I was not," she huffed. But then, curiosity got the better of her. "What's your full name?" Hearing that, Gyeol chuckled. "You almost made me upset, thinking you weren't curious at all." As they talked, all of Gio's previous anxiety seemed to fade away. She later wondered if she had known what would happen, would she have tried harder to keep her cool? If only I had known that first love is always helpless. Later, Gio was chatting with Giseong about her younger brother, Seo, and how he had recently bleached his hair. "I can't stand the sight of his blonde hair, but Seo actually pulls it off. He has a cute face." Gio frowned. Black hair looks better, she muttered absent-mindedly, then added, piercings look good too. Her mind was drifting to Gyeol as she spoke. Giseong suddenly spotted something outside the window and quickly left without telling her anything. What he had actually seen was Seo with a rough-looking crowd. Sensing trouble, he decided to follow them. Seo looked terrified, standing beneath a tall boy's arm. One of the guys, a man with a scar on his face, grinned and asked, "Which one is Seo?" Another guy answered, the one standing under Gyeol's arm. The scar-faced man smiled wider and said, "Hand the kid over to Jisong." Gisong's gaze snapped to the boy standing next to Seo. Gyeol exhaled, puffing from an electric cigarette. With an easy smile, he turned to Seo and asked, "Do you want to go with Gisong?" Gyeol asks Seo if he knows him, and when Seo says yes, Gyeol tells the others that he will send Seo off. He then starts walking with him, completely ignoring Giseong. As they walk, Gyeol asks Seo if he plans on coming back there. Seo shakes his head, indicating no. Gyeol smiles, pats his head, and says, "Good thinking." Giseong asks Seo if Gyeol was harassing him, but Seo denies it. In fact, when those guys were bullying him, it was Gyeol who interfered, asking, "What are you doing to my little brother?" When they questioned if Seo was really his brother, Gyeol casually replied, "He can be, starting today." He then stood beside Seo, preventing them from messing with him any further, and told him to just hang in there for a while. However, right now, Seo doesn't tell Jisong any of this. He simply says, "Don't worry about it," and leaves. When he arrives home, Geo asks why he's coming home so late. Seo immediately assumes that Jisong snitched on him again and complains that it's the only reason she's all worked up, when usually she just ignores him. Later that night, on a dimly lit street, we see a man scolding Gyeol about smoking. Gyeol casually reassures him, saying, "Don't worry, it doesn't have nicotine in it." At Geo's house, her phone starts ringing. It's Giseong. She turns to Seo and warns him that if he doesn't tell her what's going on, she'll just ask Giseong instead. Seo tries to stop her, but it's too late. Giseong has already told her everything. Furious, she confronts Seo, asking why he was picking a fight with those guys. Seo shouts back that she doesn't know anything. Frustrated, he admits that he has no money and no friends, so he thought he could suck up to those guys. Geo points out that he doesn't need that much money, but he just scoffs, saying she wouldn't understand, and shuts the door in her face. Feeling overwhelmed, Geo goes out for a walk, wondering how she's supposed to understand when he won't tell her anything. As she walks, she unexpectedly runs into Gyeol. She finds it fascinating how he always appears at moments like these, when she wants to escape her thoughts or avoid dealing with reality. It's as if he shows up at the exact moment she needs him, as if it were all planned. Gyeol smirks and asks, "Did you think about me?" Without hesitation, she replies, "Yes." For a brief second, he looks shocked, and she's about to say something else when the man from earlier interrupts them. Once the man leaves, Geo asks, "Was that your dad?" Gyeol shakes his head. "I don't have a dad. He's just someone I know," he replies. At that moment, Geo's phone starts ringing again. It's Jiseong. She hadn't even noticed. When she finally picks up, she angrily asks Jisong why he kept her in the dark and demands to know who those guys were. Meanwhile, Gyeol stands really close to her, gently holding her hand. She feels a wave of shyness and nervousness wash over her. Then Jisong finally answers, "It was Gyeol Cha." Geo freezes. "Are you sure?" she asks. "Yeah," Jisong confirms. Hearing this, Geo instinctively pushes Gyeol away a little. He asks, "Why'd you get so serious all of a sudden?" She looks him, "Do you know my little brother?" Gyeol tilts his head slightly. "I didn't even know you had a little brother until now," he replies casually. Geo narrows her eyes. "Are you hiding something from me?" "Beats me," he said smilingly. "We're not that close yet." Geo, "And if we do get close, will you tell me then?" He chuckles and replies, "Maybe." Geo sighs, deciding that she'll wait. From the moment they met, she realized she was willing to listen to him. The next day at school, Gisong asks if she knows Gyeol. That simple question makes her realize something. She actually doesn't know much about him at all. The thought embarrasses her. She hopes Gyeol has nothing to do with Seo. She tells herself that even if he acts like a thug, as long as he isn't actually one, it's fine. More than anything, she hopes he's someone she can shamelessly like. After all, He makes her forget all her worries, so she wishes she could like him freely. Inside the classroom, Eunsu watches Geo and mutters, "Is there a way to screw her over?" The next day at school, due to Geo's leg injury, she was given the task of cleaning. Meanwhile, in the training hall, the coach told Eunsu to do better, reminding her that this was her chance to win a gold medal since Geo was unable to participate. This annoyed Eunsu. Another girl asked her what she planned to do now, referring to Eunsu's earlier words about messing with Geo. Eunsu casually remarked that she should just lock Geo up somewhere. However, when the girl commented that she hoped never to get on Eunsu's bad side, Eunsu quickly followed up, saying she was joking and that she didn't actually hate Geo that much. Later, Geo woke up in the storage room where she had been cleaning. It was already nighttime, and she noticed someone's blazer placed over her lap. Then, a boy's voice spoke. "You're awake?" It was Gyeol, who was also sitting in the room. He smirked and said, "Looks like we're going to get pretty close now." Geo immediately tried to leave, but the door wouldn't open. Gyeol told her that it was locked. She asked why he hadn't noticed when someone was locking the door, to which he casually replied that he had also come there to sleep. Searching for her phone, she suddenly remembered that she had left it in the classroom. When she asked if he had his phone, he said that his battery was dead. She started banging on the door, but Gyeol told her to give up, explaining that everyone was probably watching the soccer game right now. Geo sighed, thinking about how bad things kept happening to her, one after another, as if someone was out to get her. Her thoughts were interrupted when Gyeol called out, "Come back and sit down." She hesitated. He was a really dangerous guy, not in a threatening way, but in how effortlessly he made her want to approach him. And yet, she couldn't bring herself to refuse. Gyeol gently took her hand. "Aren't you going to sit?" he asked. She stared at him, thinking about how subtly he had taken her hand. She confronted him, expecting him to act cheeky and try to get away with it, but to her surprise, he became flustered, quickly apologizing before moving to sit at a distance. Geo had assumed he would be shameless, but instead, his unexpected cuteness made her heart explode. After a while, he asked, "Why were you sleeping here?" She explained that the coach had told her to clean the chest guards. Gyeol frowned. "If the coach knew you were here, then it seems like someone locked you in on purpose." Immediately, Unsu's face popped into Geo's mind. Then, in a narration, Geo apologized to Gyeol for this day, for being so excited simply because she liked being with him. If she had known how he felt, she wouldn't have been so tactlessly happy. How was he able to smile at her? What forced him to do it? She added that he didn't have to pretend anymore. She would do whatever it took to make him smile genuinely. At that moment, the scene shifted, revealing that the person who had locked them in was actually the guy with the scar on his face. Back in the storage room, Gyeol suddenly took off his blazer, startling Geo. As the temperature dropped, he suggested she wear it over her legs like pants. Geo immediately refused, saying she wouldn't look like an idiot. But eventually the cold got to her, and she gave in, pulling the blazer over her legs. "I didn't know it would be this cold," she muttered. "I'm usually in my tracksuit." Gyeol smirked. "Should I give you my pants then?" Geo's face turned red with embarrassment. Thinking that he must be cold too, she hesitantly said, "Come sit closer." Gyeol's smirk deepened. Geo panicked, quickly adding, "I'm not trying to do anything weird." Still teasing her, he replied, "All right, I'll trust you this once," before moving closer. She suggested they share the blazer. He leaned in even more, grinning. "This is really cliché." She sighed. "I know it might seem like I'm hitting on you, but I can't help it." He chuckled. "You've got it all wrong. I'm the one hitting on you." Geo froze. "Wait, you are?" Gyeol looked at her. "You really had no idea?" Later, as they slept in the storage room, Geo's narration returned. Even now, as she had grown older, she always found herself going back to this moment, where Gyeol was waiting for her in the storage room. But for Gyeol, maybe getting involved with her had been a tragedy in itself. The next morning, Gyeol wakes Geo up and tells her that if anyone asks, she should say she doesn't know him. When she asks why, he simply replies that it's better that way. Just then, the security guard opens the door. Gyeol signals Geo to stay quiet, and taking his advice, she tells the guard that she doesn't know him. Right after, Gyeol heads straight to an old neighborhood. When he finds the house he's looking for, he bangs on the door, calling for Ujin. The guy with the scar on his face steps out, his face swollen and bruised from a beating. Gyeol takes one look at him and asks, "So, your dad's back from prison?" Ujin, clearly fearful of his father, doesn't answer directly. Instead, he leads Gyeol somewhere else to talk. Gyeol sighs. "I couldn't sleep a wink last night." Ujin scoffs. "And why are you telling me that? I'm the one in worse shape here." Gyeol suddenly grabs his face. "I don't care," he says coldly. "And I swear I'll make it worse, so you'd better shut up." Then, narrowing his eyes, he asks, "Were you the one who locked me in?" Ujin smirks. "You should be thanking me for it instead." Gyeol doesn't react, just leans in slightly. "Don't tell anyone about this." Ujin hesitates before nodding. Satisfied, Gyeol pats the bruised side of his face. "Good," he comments, his tone light yet threatening. Then, with a smirk, he adds, "'Cause that's how things get screwed up real fast." Meanwhile, Geo was in the teacher's office. The incident could escalate into a bigger problem, the teacher tells her. Geo shrugs. "I'm fine, though." But the teacher shakes her head. "That doesn't mean we can just let it slide." Geo sighs. "My parents wouldn't complain either." She remembers the call from her mother. Her mom had sounded concerned, but not enough to call the police. Instead, she had said something along the lines of, "Geo's not the type to die on the street." Geo still couldn't tell if her mother trusted her that much or just didn't care. She had seemed far more worried when Seo ran away from home. That thought made Geo a little jealous. The teacher then tells her to rest at the nurse's office. Later, the girl from earlier confronts Unsu. "Did you lock Geo in there?" she asks bluntly. Unsu strongly denies it, and her friend believes her. But unknown to them, a third girl had been listening in on their conversation. Resting in the nurse's office, Geo thinks to herself that she'll deal with Unsu later. Besides, it wasn't that bad. Meanwhile, Unsu had come to check on her. In her sleep, Geo dreams of a fight happening somewhere. She moves closer to see what's going on and finds Gyeol mercilessly beating someone up. As she steps in a little further, she realizes that the guy getting hit is the one with the scar on his face. Then, suddenly, Ujin punches Gyeol, making his forehead bleed. But Gyeol barely reacts. Instead, he grabs Ujin by the collar and starts punching him down. Geo tries to stop Gyeol, calling out to him. He looks like he's about to say something, but then she wakes up. She sighs, thinking, "I keep having these strange dreams, but I don't even know who that other guy is." Then, she notices Giseong sitting beside her. Geo tells him, "I'm just annoyed about some things, my leg, Unsu." Hearing this, Giseong remembers something. Earlier, when he entered the nurse's office, he had run into Unsu. "You definitely didn't come in here because you were worried about Geo," he had said to her. Unsu, "And what if I did?" Giseong raised an eyebrow. "Are you?" Caught off guard, Unsu got flustered and quickly ran away. Back in the present, Giseong asks Geo, "If Unsu wanted to be friends with you, what would you do?" Geo scoffs. "That's ridiculous. I can't even imagine it." Then, she turns the question back at him. "Would you believe me if I said I wanted to go out with you?" Giseong immediately gets flustered, mumbling, "So, this is how Unsu must have felt." Geo continues. "Unsu has always hated me." Meanwhile, Unsu sits alone on the stairs, still embarrassed. In the next scene, we see the girl from earlier gossiping with others about the conversation she overheard from Unsu and her friend. Geo goes to the hospital for her checkup, and the doctor tells her that they can remove her cast and replace it with a splint next week. This makes her incredibly happy. Afterward, she sits in the open area of the hospital, feeling relaxed. Suddenly, someone comes from behind and places a Coke can on her head. Startled at first, she turns around to see that it's Gyeol. She jokingly asks if he was following her, and he replies that he was probably there first. She then asks if he is sick, but he tells her that it's actually his grandmother who is unwell. Both of them sit there quietly, and Geo thinks that for someone who approaches her so easily, he doesn't talk much. She feels a little distant from him and observes that he seems mature for his age, leading her to assume that he must have complicated circumstances. Out of nowhere, he tells her that his grandmother is hospitalized with angina and that he has no other family besides her. Geo is surprised, wondering if she had unknowingly spoken her thoughts out loud. However, Gyeol tells her that if she's curious, she can just ask him. so she asks if angina is dangerous. He explains that his grandmother is going to undergo surgery and that it's pretty serious. From his tone, it seems like he has already prepared himself for the worst. Geo doesn't know how to comfort others, so she simply places her hand over his. He asks if she is trying to comfort him, and she becomes slightly flustered. Then, with a small smile, he tells her to be a little more generous before leaning his head on her shoulder. A week later, at a playground, Ujin and his friends are hanging out and waiting for Gyeol. Ujin, uninterested, says that he doesn't care and just wants to find something fun to do. Then he spots Seo walking toward them. He tells Seo to go back and asks if he's messing around with them since Gyeol had supported him before. Seo replies that he doesn't even know Gyeol. Ujin then asks him to come closer and once again questions whether he truly doesn't know Gyeol. Seo insists that he does not. Ujin, now confused, wonders why Gyeol acted that way if he had nothing to do with Seo. Meanwhile, Geo is walking home from the hospital when she hears a commotion coming from the playground. She finds Seo there and angrily gestures for him to come to her. He quickly runs over, telling her to leave, but she smacks him with her crutches and demands to know who the other guys are. Just then, Ujin steps out. The moment she sees him, chills run down her spine. She recognizes him from her dream. She grabs onto Seo's shirt, her grip tightening as he tells Ujin that she is his sister. Now, Ujin also recognizes her from the storage room and, smiling, remarks that the two of them look alike. After they leave, Geo asks Seo who that guy was, mentioning that she has seen him before, muttering to herself that he was the guy from her dream. She wonders what the reason was behind his fight with Gyeol. The next day at school, Geo sits at her desk, holding her head. She wonders whether the fight she saw in her dream will actually happen and what is really going on between her and Gyeol. Her thoughts then drift to Unsu. At that moment, the girl who had been gossiping earlier enters the classroom with her friends. They approach Geo, and the girl says that if she were in her position, she would have told everyone about what happened. Geo doesn't understand what they are talking about. Then, Unsu enters the class, and the atmosphere grows tense. Unsu notices it too. A moment later, Giseong walks in and asks Unsu to step outside for a talk. After they leave, the girls tell Geo that they heard Unsu had locked her in the storage room. Geo is shocked. How do they know about that when she hasn't even told Giseong? She is about to say that it isn't certain when, suddenly, Unsu barges back into the classroom, calling out for Hyoyeon, her friend. She demands to know if Hyoyeon was the one who spread the rumor, but when Hyoyeon denies it, Unsu immediately turns to Geo, accusing her instead. Geo thinks to herself she hates Unsu. Unsu hates her too. It's because they are alike, especially in their inferiority complexes, and that's why they hurt each other. She firmly replies that she wasn't the one who spread the rumor, but adds that a rumor like that wouldn't have spread without a reason. The two of them start arguing, tension rising. They come face to face, and due to Geo's provocation, Unsu pushes her. Without thinking, Geo reacts and slaps Unsu across the face. The moment it happens, she freezes. A dreadful realization sinks in. She is doomed. The two of them ended up in the teacher's office, where he demanded to know which one of them started it. Geo hesitantly told him that she was the one who hit her, but Unsu interfered and said that she picked a fight with Geo first, and that she was lying. Geo thought that trying to help her, but Unsu was so clueless. The teacher told Geo that she could lose her spot as an athlete if she kept beating people up. Unsu tried again to cover for Geo, but it didn't work. The two of them were told to write their statements. Geo asked Unsu why she had tried to cover for her, and Unsu replied that it wouldn't do her any good since other students already believed she was guilty, but made it clear that she hadn't done anything. Geo commented that Hyoyeon seemed to know something, and they should ask her about it. Unsu asked if Geo wanted to go another round, and Geo, smiling, said, "Sure, if you have the guts to hit me first." This made Unsu embarrassed and infuriated, but Geo just laughed. Jishong was waiting for them outside. He apologized to Geo for not taking care of her, as he had been busy with his competition. Geo said it didn't make sense for him to apologize, as it wasn't his business, but it had bothered him a little. When she was about to leave, Giseong stopped her and said he wanted to tell her something. She told him that if it wasn't urgent, he could call her later. Gyeol left while Jiseong stood there with a sad expression. The next day, Gyeol was on a bus going to school. Jisong had not reached out to Geo the previous evening. Then Gyeol entered the bus. Geo asked how he knew she would be on this bus, and he replied that he waited at the bus stop for all the buses to pass. Geo asked why, and he said it was because he wanted to meet her. Geo told him that he should just come to school every day. She told him that she had been punished at school for fighting, and after hearing everything, Gyeol commented that Unsu seemed like a good friend. Then she asked him if he knew someone with a scar on their jaw. He replied that he wouldn't call him a friend and asked how she knew him. She told him that she should be a fortune teller, as she had seen him in her dream and then in real life. He told her that dreams meant nothing. Then she asked him about his brother, and he told her that he separated him from that guy one day. Geo became happy, realizing that it was a misunderstanding. Gyeol seemed sleepy, and when their eyes met, he suddenly kissed her. Just after that, he realized what he had done and apologized to her, saying that he did it in his sleep. Geo became teary-eyed, thinking that she had her first kiss with a guy who claimed he did it in his sleep. She asked him what they were, and he just kissed her back in response. When they reached school, Gyeol commented that he couldn't believe he came to school so early just because he wanted to see someone, and then he asked for her number. Gisong, upon seeing this, came over, and Gyeol left. Jisong asked her what was wrong with her these days, as being seen with someone like Gyeol could get in the way of her being an athlete. Geo responded that it seemed like Giseong was the one going through something and was taking it out on her. He apologized, and Geo said that if he was going through a major issue, he could tell her. But he cut her off, saying that he was fine. He then changed the subject, asking if anything interesting was going on in her life. Geo told him that she thought something was going on between her and Gyeol, adding that it was a secret. Surprised, Giseong said that she wasn't interested in things like that, but she just smiled and said she found it interesting now. Then she left, telling Jisong that he could share his issues with her whenever he felt it was the right time, and she would wait. The next day, Geo and Unsu had to carry out their punishment of cleaning the restroom. Unsu offered to do it alone, pointing out that Geo had a leg injury and adding that she at least had a conscience. Geo asked why she hated her so much, to which Unsu replied that she didn't hate her. Instead, she envied her. She admitted that she had even felt happy when Geo accused her because it meant she had Geo's attention. The truth was, she had always wanted to be like her. That evening, Geo told Gyeol everything. He commented that he was glad the two of them had straightened things out, calling Unsu a nice girl. She then asked about him and his grandmother, and he replied that her surgery had been successful. Teasing her, he said she was a worrywart, prompting her to ask if he ever worried about his future. He casually responded that he would manage somehow and wouldn't starve to death, which made her think that she might end up having to support him too. Then, out of nowhere, she confessed that she liked him. He responded that he liked her too. The two of them shared a kiss, unaware that Geo's phone was ringing. On the other end was Ji Seong, troubled by his parents' constant fighting, muttering Geo's name, asking her to save him. Geo then narrated that she should have never met Gyeol, that she should have never known the feeling of losing rationality. The next day, Gyeol woke up late and missed school. In the living room, he ran into a man he was close to, who had come over to eat his grandmother's cooking. The man asked why he wasn't going to school and whether he was too busy dating. Gyeol denied it, but the man warned him that she was someone's precious daughter and that he should take good care of her. At the same time, he told him to look after Ujin as well, saying that Gyeol was the first one to come to his senses. He added that Gyeol should try trusting adults for once, but Gyeol muttered under his breath, wondering what good would come of it anyway. At school, teacher called Geo in and informed her about her brother's condition. Geo immediately went to see Seo, only to find that someone had beaten him up. She asks him if it was the guy with the scar who did this, but then her mind suddenly goes to Gyeol. However, she thinks that she shouldn't suspect him without hearing the full story. So refuses to tell her anything, so she says that she will find out herself. He tries to stop Geo, telling her that she's embarrassing him. In response, Gyeol showers him with punches, saying that she's the one who's embarrassed to have a brother like him. She then goes from class to class, asking about the guy with the scar. Unsu is the one who finally stops her and pulls her aside to talk. She tells Gio that she was asked to stop her and warns that she could get in trouble for this. Gio tells Unsu about her brother, and Unsu asks if she was planning on beating the guy up. Frustrated, she asks Gio if she wants to throw away her sports career. Gio explains that she understands everything, but what if things get worse? She adds that by the time something happens, it'll be too late. Then, out of nowhere, Gyeol appears. Resting his chin on Gio's head, he casually asks what they're talking about. Unsu asks Gio who he is. Gio remembers asking Gyeol out that evening and how he had given her a tight hug afterward. But right now, she can't bring herself to say it, feeling embarrassed from the beginning about liking him. Gyeol notices her hesitation and casually says that they are just acquaintances. Unsu, unimpressed, tells him that they are in the middle of a conversation and asks him to leave, to which he complies. She then comments on his numerous piercings and tells Gio to stop getting involved with strange people. Gio starts to refute this, but stops midway, realizing that indeed he is a strange boy. After this, she goes to the rooftop to meet Gyeol, who laughs and says that if he had known this was going to happen, he would have lived a better life and gotten fewer piercings. Gio apologizes for not telling Unsu that they are dating, but Gyeol dismisses it, saying it's all right since it's true. They aren't dating. He then adds that he doesn't remember ever agreeing to be with her that day. Gio is hurt and asks what's wrong with him, but he just shrugs his shoulders. Changing the subject, she tells him that they beat her brother again. Gyeol casually replies that he'll talk to them. Gio, confused, reminds him that he had told her he had nothing to do with them. He smiles and corrects her, saying that she got it all wrong. He never said such a thing, only that he wasn't close with them. At that moment, Gio realizes that she had interpreted his words however she liked, shaping him into the person she wanted him to be. Gyeol then asks if she's doubting him. She responds that, given the situation, how could she possibly trust him? Gyeol walks past her, saying that it's good and telling her to keep it that way. Gio is left standing there, extremely hurt and angry. That day, Gio cried in her room, thinking that it was all a lie, that he had just been playing with her. She wondered how he must have looked at her, smiling like an idiot, completely unaware of what was happening to her brother. Then, her mother came to check on her, and Gio snuggled into her. She told her mother that she was heartbroken, so her mother hugged her tightly and reassured her that it was okay, that everything was going to be fine. Her mother's repeated words of comfort felt like a spell being chanted. Later, Gio thought that everything had gotten better, except for him. Meanwhile, Gyeol barged into Ujin's house, slamming the door open, filled with people drinking, and Seo was lying on the ground, passed out. Ujin, noticing Gyeol, asked if he was there for Seo and if his sister had sent him to check on him. Then, with a smirk, he announced to everyone that the boy was Gyeol's girlfriend's brother. Hearing this, he grabbed Ujin by the hair and dared him to continue. Gyeol dragged Ujin while warning him that he had already told him not to mess with the boy and that he should learn to take a hint. Ujin sneered, commenting that Gyeol's girlfriend had already tattled. This made Gyeol furious, and he smashed Ujin's head against the wall. Then he took Seo with him and left, while Ujin trembled, shedding tears from fear. That night, Gio had another dream, one where she was happy with Gyeol in the future. But when she woke up, she dismissed it, thinking that precognitive dreams didn't exist and that it was all just her delusion. Elsewhere, in an alley, a group of boys were gossiping about what had happened between Gyeol and Ujin. Ujin had overheard everything. The next day, Gio ran into Unsu at school. Before parting ways, she accidentally dropped her wallet, prompting Unsu to follow her in order to return it. As Gio walked, she found herself thinking that, despite her fallout with Gyeol, her life was strangely going well. Even Seo had told her himself that he would no longer contact those guys. Just as she was lost in thought, Ujin suddenly attacked her from behind with a bat. She dodged just in time, but the sudden movement made her injured foot ache. Ujin smirked, commenting that she really was an athlete, given how easily she avoided the hit. Gyeol asked him why he was doing this, wasn't hurting her brother enough, but Ujin didn't answer. Instead, he kept swinging at her with full force. It felt like he was actually trying to end her. Right now, he was too much for her to handle. He scoffed and said that if she thought this was unfair, then she should have chosen a better guy to date. That this was happening because of Gyeol. Gyeol snapped back that she had nothing to do with him anymore. But Ujin argued that Gyeol clearly thought otherwise. Frustrated, she shouted that Gyeol was the one who broke things off. Ujin chuckled mockingly. Sounds like I've gotten caught in a lover's spat, he taunted. Gyeol was preparing to at least disarm him when, suddenly, someone called Ujin's name from behind her. It was Gyeol. Before Ujin could react, Gyeol smacked him right in the face. Ujin retaliated immediately, swinging his bat and striking Gyeol's forehead, leaving a deep injury. Gyeol's heart pounded in concern, but then, suddenly, she remembered. This was exactly what had happened in her dream. Ujin kept swinging, and Gyeol kept getting hit. Terrified, Gyeol, with all her strength, kicked Ujin in the head from behind. The force of the blow sent him crashing into the wall. Ujin collapsed to the ground, motionless. Gyeol's hands trembled. She turned to Gyeol, her voice shaking as she asked, "Is he dead?" Gyeol shouted at Gyeol, demanding to know why she had interfered. Gyeol, still shaken, replied that she was afraid he would get hurt if she didn't. His anger faded in an instant. Without another word, he pulled her into a tight hug and apologized for yelling at her. Then, letting go, he told her that he would take care of things here and that she needed to leave, adding firmly that she was never here today. Before Gyeol could protest, he turned to Eunsu, who had been standing behind her, and asked for a favor, to get Gyeol out of there. Eunsu wasted no time. She quickly grabbed Gyeol and dragged her away, telling her to let Gyeol take the blame and to pretend they knew nothing about what had happened. The scene shifted to Gyeol sitting in the hospital, lost in thought. She couldn't believe what she had done. She had completely forgotten her responsibilities as an athlete and had assaulted a normal person. And worse, she had let the boy she liked take the blame for it. Eunsu had warned her that if she confessed, she would declare herself an accomplice as well. That had become a convenient excuse to stay silent. Maybe Gyeol had already sensed her cowardice. Maybe that was why he left her. She muttered to herself that she reeked of trash. Gyeol, who had been standing behind her, heard it, and with a smile said, "That's not very nice," then jokingly asked if she was talking about him. Gyeol asks why he was there, and he tells her that Ujin was also hospitalized in the same place. He adds that it's not that serious. Ujin is just trying to get some settlement money. Gyeol asks if he's demanding a lot, to which Gyeol jokingly asks if she plans to give it to him. But Gyeol responds seriously, saying that she can't pay him right away, but if given some time, she can manage. Gyeol tells her not to worry, as they've already reached an agreement. Gyeol apologizes to him, but Gyeol casually shifts the conversation to other things, which bothers her a little. He talks and acts as if she doesn't need to know anything. So she asks about school, and he nonchalantly replies that he'll probably get expelled. He then says that if he had known things would turn out this way, he would have lived a better life, but he isn't blaming her. He adds that even if he could go back in time, everything would probably be the same. Then, looking at her, he asks for her validation. This makes Gyeol feel a little humiliated, as it seems like he's taking her for a fool. She asks him who he thinks he is to protect her. He previously said that they were nothing, so why is he being so nice to her now? Gyeol smiles and says that they are not nothing. They are two people who like each other. He adds that she is his lifesaver and that without her, he would have been seriously injured. Gyeol shouts that he always glosses over things, but she won't fall for it anymore. Angrily, she says that she will never admit to hurting Ujin, and because Gyeol was the one who told her to do it, he is the only one who is doomed. Gyeol, still smiling, says that he didn't realize he was doomed, but if she says so, it must be true. Gyeol continues angrily, declaring that she won't take his side, even if he curses her for being petty. But Gyeol tells her to do exactly that. Be petty. Even if she did something, she should pretend she didn't. Even if she saw something, she should act like she didn't. And most importantly, she should stop beating people up, because if she does, she'll be the one in trouble. Gyeol asks if he's being sarcastic, but he tells her no, that he genuinely wants her to live like that forever. Otherwise, he says, his doomed life will have been wasted. Shortly after that, Gyeol disappeared. Geo even went to his address, but no one was there. His neighbor told her that they had moved away just after his grandmother passed away. Geo hadn't even known about his grandmother's passing. She tried calling him, but his number was no longer in service. Soaked in the rain, she suddenly realized that the suit he had been wearing that day was for the funeral, yet she had no idea at the time. Just then, the man Gyeol was close to also arrived. He introduced himself as a police officer named Eunho Go. Suddenly, Geo burst into tears, pleading with Officer Go to find Gyeol. The next time we see Geo, she is on TVs and advertisements. She had been an athlete for years, but now she was retired. A long time had passed, and Janam was now 29 years old.